The whole point of CLIO.1, the education side, was to really help people get interested in Plutus especially. Because right after Plutus Fest, which I attended with my business partner Marcus, there wasn't really material ready for the public, and so we were really excited about Plutus, and so we decided, hey, this is something that needs to get out there. Right. And now, especially with the release of Shelly coming soon, and one of the reasons why I'm here at the IOHK Summit is we're presenting full Cardano nodes and eventually staking pools on low-power devices. And so with all the new releases that IOHK Emurgo are bringing out for the community, we're trying to bring as much educational material as possible. And so we're going to be continuing more with smart contract stuff with Plutus, Marlowe, and so on forth, but also more in the staking direction as well for content, possibly guides coming soon. And so we're really trying to provide the material that's lacking out there right now and trying to just give it in as accessible form as possible for people to take it.
Okay, great. So like, can you tell me a little bit about your background? Because you've got your hands in hardware and software. So
I'm personally mostly a software guy. So I've been programming since I was a wee lad, 8-9 years old. I got into functional programming about 3.5 years ago, formal verification shortly after. And my business partner Marcus, who's also part of CLIO.1, is much more a hardware guy because he runs his own ISP. And so we kind of fit together well because he's more the hardware guy and more the software guy. And so we really can target and understand pretty much most of the ecosystem which we need to in order to create all this educational content. And so we work off each other.
Right. So the Rock Pi, basically it's for staking?
Yeah, so it's a full node running on about 5 to 10 watts of power. So it's super.
Oh, it's a full node?
Yeah, so it's a full node. And once Shelly releases, you'll be able to run a full staking pool on there too. Okay. And so it's pretty much we're showing a proof of concept of what's possible.
Excellent. So did you have to custom make your software for that Rock Pi, or how hard was that?
So we're using the Rust Jormungandr node, which is being produced by IOHK, the Rust team. And so, I mean, there's lots of configuration. These devices are reasonably new, we're running on, they're only a few months old. Right. And so we're kind of on the bleeding edge of software and of the hardware. And so there's a lot of tinkering you have to do. Plus on top, we've added a few surprises, which you can see at the talk. But it takes time to really make it all work together.
Right. So let's say, how long do you think that would take for people that want to get involved? Let's say I want to try to put that on an Arduino.
Yeah.
What do you think that would take? Like a few days or something to get that all started?
I mean, it just depends how experienced you are, right?
Okay.
And it depends on the hardware, because it depends if the hardware is performing enough to actually support the nodes and all the software.
Right.
And so we'll be releasing content on how to make some of this yourself and how to build your own full node on low-powered hardware in the near future. And chances are it'll work on lots of different configurations, but I can't say off the top of my head whether it'll work with this Arduino or this board, just because I don't have the experience yet. Because this software is brand new, and so over time we're going to test good configurations, see what makes sense, and we'll start to offer the best recommendations. Right. But so far the Rock Pi seemed like a really good candidate.
Okay, so like what kind of memory did you need on that Rock Pi to get that going?
Right, so theoretically it should be possible with 1 to 2 gigabytes of RAM. But currently we have upscaled versions of 4 gigs just to make sure everything runs perfectly smoothly.
Right.
But it depends, because it also depends how you configure some of the software. Do you want to load more stuff on RAM? There's options, variations for speed versus performance.
Okay. So what kind of OS are you running, for example, on that?
So we're running Armbian, which is the ARM version of Debian.
Okay.
And it's quite well supported with custom images for different boards. And so you can have much better support than sometimes even the hardware producers' images
Okay.
And so it's a really good OS and it's
Okay.
very stable. So I'd
So-
recommend using it for almost any project.
So is that the reason why you picked RockPi over like Arduino or Raspberry?
No, so the Rock Pis have a really solid 6-core CPU.
Oh, okay.
And for a form factor that's very similar to the original Raspberry Pis.
Okay.
And so it's just really powerful for the size, and
Okay.
it makes sense overall as
Okay.
a choice for this.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. So yeah. What else is new for like the CLIO website? Like as far as maybe smart contracts, because that was very interesting with that tutorial.
So we have more in the future coming, but the issue is Plutus and Marlowe are in very beginning stages, right? And so to create a lot of content, it doesn't make complete sense because a lot of the core mechanics, they're still changing.
Right.
And so as they'll talk about at the IOHK Summit for the Plutus and Marlowe talks, they're making big upgrades and they're still doing research into some core issues. And Plutus and Marlowe are ready to start experimenting with, but to create a large swath of education, which later will be somewhat deprecated, doesn't really make sense.
Right.
And so we've released this first lesson, this first
Right.
tutorial, to get you started writing your first smart contract, so you can kind of get an understanding of what's going on, how the extended UTXO model works.
Okay.
And then from there, you kind of have a base. And so then you can kind of experiment on your own. And then once all of this solidifies and Plutus and Marlowe have like a version 1.0,
Right.
that's when it really makes sense to start going full force and releasing a lot more material.
Right, right. Excellent, excellent. So is there anything else you want to add about your website?
So yeah, if you're interested in educational material for Cardano, I'd recommend going to edu.CLIO.1. We have a newsletter, you can sign up, and yeah, we're going to be creating more and more content, and so hopefully you can enjoy the fruits of our labor.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.